for your country. Stand up for America. Stand with us this evening and keep this government going in the name of fairness.
Yeah, if you Google John Larson angry rant, that's what comes up first. We are happy to have John Gary Larson with us, an overly caffeinated one that day, huh?
Well, I don't think it was caffeine, but nonetheless, that was what happens when your colleagues refuse to vote on an issue, and
you had to give them a little Irish.
You woke them all up.
You woke them all up. So,
yeah.
So here we are, St. Patrick's Day parade in New Haven in a few short hours. 18% of Connecticut Irish, one of five. More Italians, though, Roy. 19.3% of Connecticut Irish. Well, how important are the Irish to Connecticut?
They're indispensable.
I would agree with that.
I totally agree with that.
They're indispensable to the world. Haven't you read Cahill's book on how the Irish saved civilization? I mean, these are, you know, indisputable facts. Just ask Dick Torpy or Frank Fitzgerald. You might remember that guy.
Yes, I do remember that. And as far as politicians, you know, our Irish politicians have a long history in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, they do. You know, and you can go back to Governor O'Neill,
John Dempsey.
John Dempsey. Clearly, leaders, the Dodds, most notably Tom and Chris Dodd. You know, Owen Dodd works in my office right now as you know, we keep the legacy going. But the Irish have been remarkably, you know, the ancestral home of saints and poets and firemen, policemen,
and lost causes,
and politics.
And in Connecticut, unions too, right? As well, right, Jen?
Well, as an Irish person on this panel as well, I want to say how important, and I want to point out that he also has, for viewers who can't see it, the JFK pin. And I remember my mom telling me how JFK's picture used to hang in their living room, so it was such a
next
big...
to the Pope.
That's exactly. How it was so important for so many Irish families.
So any plans? So you're walking. The parade is in Hartford. You're not.
Yes.
You're not doing the New Haven parade. You're doing the Hartford one, right?
Well, I am from the
Well,
first
yes, we understand that, right?
Yes, and I don't want to, you know, Rosa to be angry with me coming down here to New Haven. But, no, in fact, the Hartford parade is it's probably the largest parade in Hartford, and one of the largest in the states, and they do a terrific job, and so the Irish will be out there. Only the Irish don't march in winter. I mean, it's always been kind of and I don't know whether that's so that we can use antifreeze beforehand or after or throughout the day, but nonetheless. But you mentioned the John Kennedy pin, and it's hard to imagine that he would be 100 years old. And last May, in fact, May 29th, we celebrated what would have been President Kennedy's 100th birthday, and so we wear the pin as a reminder about public service and the calling to public service. I think it shocks people when you tell them today that less than 1% of the nation, serves in our military, in the Peace Corps, in VISTA, in City Year, everything combined. And that includes our reserve units as well. A nation of 330 million people cannot long survive if we only prevail upon 1% of the nation to serve. So it's a great call and mission. I think in Congress what we have to do is incentivize people to help deal with college debt. You serve your country, we'll forgive your tuition.
How about an actual though public service draft? And I mean that. I mean both for military option and, as you said, public service. You know, one of my great, I think, regrets in my life is I didn't serve in the military. I could have. The military back in the early 80s was a pretty shoddy operation until they started turning it around. You know, we had a lot of drug abuse and lack of reentry. I think that we have an amazing military, that it is the precision, you know firsthand. You've seen it here, the reserve units we have. But as these last couple of wars, whether you agree with them or not, have proven, we are recycling and pounding our reserve units so much and really just wearing them thin. I think it wouldn't hurt people to know that they had a certain level of responsibility comes with citizenship. Would you agree with that on some level?
Well, Charlie Rangel certainly agreed with you, and he called early on.
Korean War veteran, actually dedicated hero of the Bronze
But you know who
Star.
testifies and comes up to the hill against it? The military.
Really?
Oh, yes. They're strong. They firmly believe that what they want is a volunteer force, and they cite it in terms of the discipline that they require and the person you want. I think it's understandable when you hear it from them, and they say it with a great deal of passion and conviction, that when you're in the quote-unquote foxhole with somebody, you want to make sure that they got their.
We got to move on, John. But you know, we teased the Augie and Ray thing in the beginning. At least we sent George Colley out to have a John Larson.
We're going to get some sandwiches here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the John Larson?
Larson is ham, egg, and cheese with roasted peppers and tomato. We probably get, my guess is probably like 5 to 10 every morning.
Really?
Believe it or not. And John gets it every time he comes in the mornings and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Attaboy, there you go, the John Larson. You made it. Forget Congress. You got a sandwich named after you.
I tell that to Billy Ciotto all the time. I said, you may have a motor vehicle building, but...
All right, guys.
Yeah.
You got to run here. Next on Cap Report, restroom hand dryers. UConn's doing some groundbreaking research, and we will share that when we come back. Don't go away.